And look, what does Donald Trump do? Is Donald Trump a guy who likes to cut spending? No, he believes in debt, right? I mean, at the very least, he's not scared of it. He sees it as leverage. But what he believes in more than debt is growing the bottom line. So you grow your way out of things. And keep that in mind as I try to make sense of what's really going on here. And what I'm about to share with you, it's just a theory. One that I've been floating around that, I don't know, subtly for a while. And now I see others starting to join in. So I think I could be right on this, but I don't know, but maybe. Here's what I'm talking about. Gold is skyrocketing. It's now almost, I don't know, what is it? $4,100, $4,200 an ounce today. That was as of the October 23rd snapshot when I'm recording this. It's been extremely volatile, and I've been saying here for, I don't know, maybe the last 12 months or so, that you don't want to see a world with $5,000 an ounce gold. Because when gold hits $5,000 an ounce, what that means is trust is disappearing from the financial system and disappearing from the markets. Because people who run to gold, they do that when they're scared of paper money. The dollar is starting to weaken, and the world is sending a signal. We don't trust any of this anymore. Now, that may be true, but let me take you somewhere else, because something may be happening that doesn't fit that the dollar is collapsing script, because you're dealing with something new. You're dealing with Donald Trump. So I think behind all of this, there's a new strategy taking shape in Washington. You see, Congress doesn't have the stomach to cut any of the spending. They love their money, they love to spend. And Donald Trump believes the opposite, to grow your way out of debt. And that's a recipe there for a deficit that's really quite frightening. But there's someone, and I think it's Russ Vought, who's finding a way to pull down the deficit without the usual political bloodshed. And one of the most misunderstood tools in that strategy is something that you'll be amazed hasn't happened before. It's the revaluation of gold. Right now, the government values its gold reserves 260 million troy ounces. That's the official number, assuming we still have it. But let's go with 260 million troy ounces. And we only value it at $42.22 an ounce. Why? Because FDR raised gold to $35 in the 1930s, and in 1973 it was reset for accounting to $42.22, which still stands. That hasn't changed since 1973 because accounting rules froze it decades ago. So on paper, the entire US gold hoard is only worth about $11 billion. But wait a minute, the market price today is almost $4,200 an ounce, which would make that book value jump to around $1.1 trillion at market. Now, think about that. The United States is sitting on $1 trillion asset, and we don't even count it. We act like it's not there. So why does that matter? Well, think of your home, and then imagine that you're going into a bank to buy a new car. You know, you've got your salary, you've got a little debt, and you're barely making it. Times are rough, but your home, on paper, is still valued at $50,000 because that's what your parents paid for it decades ago. It's worth way more now, but you're still telling the bank, yeah, my father paid $50,000 for this, so that's what it's worth. Well, the bank would say, no, it's worth $1 million today. That process is called mark to market. It's a very normal thing. You mark the price of your assets to what the market says they're worth. So if the price of your house goes down, you appear poorer on paper. If it goes up, you're richer on paper. Same idea for the government's books. Their house is gold. Now, if gold goes from $42.22 an ounce to around $4,200 an ounce, and you mark it to market, everything changes. Suddenly, your $50,000 house is worth $1 million. Now, you can buy that new car. Not real cash flow, but the books suddenly look way healthier. You walk into the bank and say, I want to buy a $100,000 car. They check your assets, they see your house, it's paid off, it's worth $1 million. Yesterday, it was $50,000, today it's $1 million. And they say, you're fine. Here's $100 grand. Go enjoy yourself. Suddenly, your profile looks different overnight. That's what I believe could be coming to America. I think it's the only way we got out. I believe there's a really good chance they're going to revalue gold. We certainly are not going to pay it down. Without raising taxes or cutting a single program, it would instantly improve the nation's balance sheet, just like that. Our debt to asset ratio would shift dramatically. I mean, you've probably heard everyone saying that our debt to asset ratio is completely out of whack, right? Not since World War II, I think. I mean, we're around 125% or whatever. That would change immediately. The dollar would appear stronger and the deficit, at least on paper, would shrink. Now, add to that what Donald Trump believes. And you may not agree, and that's perfectly okay, but he believes he can grow the economy as a businessman would. Combine that with H-1B visa fees. That's a $100,000 fee on new petitions announced September 19th of this year. And then the tariffs expected to bring in money. Trump believes tariff revenue can reach $1 trillion a year. And then the multi-trillion foreign investment numbers being claimed at various levels of verification flowing into the US. If all that is real, suddenly the picture doesn't look so desperate because it looks like we're growing again. And we actually would be if all that came true. And the debt, it doesn't shrink by cutting, it shrinks by growing, by expanding the economy beneath it. That's Trump's mark. That's what he's always believed. So while I've been saying you don't want $5,000 gold, maybe it could actually be a good thing. Now, there's more. Washington is floating another idea, and Senator Mike Lee, he got hammered for this, selling off portions of the vast federal portfolio. Because we have all of this land, not national parks, I'm not talking about that, but millions of acres of unproductive, unused territory. Central bankers have been saying for 20 years we should sell some federal land. Not the national parks, but land the government doesn't need, and sell that to private developers, sell it to the states. Because selling that land could let us build more houses, could let us expand and boost the bottom line on the balance sheet. With all of this, the pressure valves, they start to open. Things start to get a little bit easier. Also notice, no one seems panicked right now about a government shutdown as of October 21st, because it's still ongoing as I'm recording this. So what is the shutdown doing? What is Russ Vought hoping for? Cuts. So now you've got gold revaluation talk centered on Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's monetize the asset side comments. Remember those? We talked about that a couple months ago. And then you got potential land sales, big investment pledges, raw earth minerals from Venezuela and South Africa, and reduced military spending in targeted areas. So you see, we're no longer the world's policemen. A drain on blood and treasure there. We don't have to do that no more. Suddenly, America looks like it's shoring itself up. It's getting stronger. So what actually looks like chaos right now may actually be a controlled implosion of a broken system. Because remember, this is exactly what the left was planning with the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset. Remember that? You will own nothing and be happy, remember? So they wanted to implode the system also, but with a global safety net underneath it. Donald Trump doesn't believe in that global order, but he does believe we are in trouble. He just has a different idea about it. So I think we might be seeing a re-anchoring of America's finances in hard assets, in real productivity. And if Bessent, Vought, and the president pull this off, we may be watching the birth of a new foundation for a new financial order, one grounded in real value. Now, it's dangerous. If confidence breaks, if terrorists already here disrupt that perception of stability, if real trouble hits the streets and things go unstable, then the illusion flips. The revaluation becomes a revelation. The books were fake strength all along. Even gold couldn't cover the sins of a government that ignored the problem for this long. But if we can hold together this fragile unity long enough to revalue and reset the system, who knows? So keep your eye on gold. It may be the canary in the coal mine. It may mean real trouble. But remember, not every alarm means disaster. It's how you react to it. You know, back in 2022 when Russia got kicked off the SWIFT banking system, I remember thinking, well, what's the plan here? There was no backup system, no replacement. I mean, we just froze a major country out of the global payment network and seized their assets, basically saying, yeah, we did that and we can do it again. And when the world saw that, it sent a message. If we could do it to Russia, then we could do it to anyone. That kind of move, it shakes trust in the dollar. And that's when confidence starts to slip. People would sell our reserve currency, and that would be an issue. That's our real control. That's where our power comes from. And the only backup plan they had was a global financial order that nobody wanted. We had no real plan B except to move toward a top-down globalized money system that the rest of the world didn't trust or agree to. I mean, notice that we're not talking about CBDCs right now. We're talking about gold. Trump is talking about rebalancing and growing, not global control. So maybe this rise in gold is a backfire, like firefighters burning a line line to stop the bigger fire. This fire might be one we're setting to burn back into the flames. This heat might actually forge something new, because I think there's real strategy here. Why are we bombing those boats? Those boat strikes, they're not random. You've seen the news about strikes on the cartel boats, right? I think that's strategy for something bigger. I don't think it's just a war on drugs. It's strategy for something bigger, maybe even much, much bigger. Knowing he's resetting the world order, knowing he likes revaluation and growing the asset sheet, knowing he's not a dummy, knowing he wants to keep America's sovereignty intact. I don't know. Gold is going to tell the story, whether it's collapse or it's America's rebirth, one way or another. We're going to know soon. So keep your eye on gold.